Hi everyone, how are you? Today I'm introducing myself as a kind of psychologist and what I to the different kinds of sessions I have. However, that's not the only thing. The main purpose of this video is to introduce you to different therapies of psychology in general. I just want you to look at the description box, and I want you to think about the different things that you would like to know. First of all, you can send it to me, and that would be great. Okay, as well as to think about the different things that you can that you can do with the sessions with me, and the different things in general that you can take the most out of these therapy information and the therapy sessions from my MantraCare profile, which I would be more than happy to do so. I do give private. However, I would prefer that you would go on MantraCare app because it's highly organized, and it's obviously it's an application um, that has many kinds of many kinds of different types of things that you can look at. Okay, so I would like you to think about the different things that you can get the most out of, and I am open still. Obviously, I'm a private psychologist, so I'd be more than happy to have a psychology sessions with you. Okay, and privately. Okay, so please do so. You have my contact information, and please do so. Okay, so I just want you to think about the different things that the different things that you want to do with this information, basically. Okay, so you can be a student, you can be a seeker for therapy sessions or different kinds of sessions. I just want to show you to tell you before I start that these links are not the only sessions that I have. Okay, these links are not the only sessions that I have. There are other links too, including advising for business and other things like career and business and recruitment and other things too. Okay, so this is really important because I want you to focus on the different things that you want. So it's not only about therapy. Obviously today I'm starting with that topic, but it's also about I have webinars. We can have group, uh, not only therapy, group on different topics. Okay, so this is important for you to know. Okay, in the end, it's an educational platform, and I want to share it with others who are interested, maybe for business, economic advising, counseling, HR, recruitment, career, different things, basically. Okay, so it's not only therapy, but therapy is one of them. Okay, and there are other topics under that or similar to that in that sense. Okay, this is what I want to get into. Now we're going to start with therapy. If you have any questions on the one points before, please contact me as soon as possible. I will talk about that in the future, hopefully, but I want you to make sure to contact me so I would know you're there. And if you don't know how to do the Mentor app, please contact me also. I'll help you out on that. It's very easy. Okay, so in that sense, you need to understand that you may have kinds of different things that you would like to, um, what's it called, different things that you would like to have. If there are different things that does not exist on Mantra Care, and you want me to, in the sense of a session on that topic, I would be more than happy also. Okay, please send me via email or chat. Okay, you have my WhatsApp on my profile, and you also have, yes, you find this on my profile. You have my contact information of email and WhatsApp. Okay, so if you don't want Mentor Care in that sense app, that's also available still. Okay, let's start. So, in one of the links, okay, I have about therapy. If you know it, then you know it. If you don't, this is introduction to the different therapies of psychology. There are a lot. Okay, so obviously I won't cover all of them, but I will just cover the ones that I personally use and which are famous. And I would be more than happy to actually, if you are interested, to talk about it or whatever, or in the session or whatever you want. Before everything else, I want to tell you that it's very important for me, if you want a session or as induction or whatever purpose, to know that the most beautiful thing about psychology is that you have to be comfortable, you have to be yourself, and don't feel like you're going to a kind of formal session or anything else, or a kind of session where it's, on the other side, it's chaotic, you're disoriented, you're disorganized. No. Okay, I want you to feel that you are, you're you. Okay, if you're formal, that's great. If you're not formal, that's even better. If you're kind of, as I'm wearing today, kind of like I'm wearing my, it's kind of cold, and I'm wearing my my sweater and everything else. Okay, and as you can see, I'm eating my candy. Okay, I like this candy, so why not? Okay, in that sense, I want you to be yourself, basically. Okay, this is not at all um this is not at all what I want you to to think about, that I need to be like, I need to prepare. No, you don't prepare for the session, and you don't prepare for the session. You just come in. Okay, I just want to be you, because sometimes you feel like, and this is normal in today's world. You have it. Some people are highly abrupt about, yes, I want to be, formal, and I want to make the prerequisites or whatever. You don't have to be prerequisites. Okay, it's a session, right? Whatever it is. Okay, that's the first thing about it. Just be comfortable. Okay, so I like this kind of candy because, it's really really nice to eat. It's nice and sweet. It's actually not that high calorie. I don't know if you care about calories, or if you care about other things like the taste or whatever. Different people care about different things, right? Okay. Some people like it vegan. Some people like it, with different kinds of characteristics in it. Some people like colored. A lot of sugar, different tastes. Okay, or not candy, right? This is really important because it's one of the things that you need to, if you don't think about these kinds of things, then, in the sense of being comfortable and everything else, making sure that you're you. It may interfere, kind of, for you. It may not, right? Some people are different. Just, you know, think about it as, I just want you to feel, and this is actually an important part of therapy, is for you to feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then you will not, what's it called? You will not feel at all in place to, maybe questions that when you're comfortable, it's so easy, right? In therapy, you may feel kind of, it's really hard. Why is it so hard? Okay, so this factor is kind of like something that you want to take out. Okay, so you don't feel so you don't feel you don't feel very very um, uh, you don't feel very what's it called, um, you know you don't feel very tired or other factors, or really what I'm talking about here, you don't feel unsatisfied, or you know um, out of consciousness, if you're not comfortable. If you're not comfortable, finish. Okay, so this is what's important here. Okay, and this is different than if your character is kind of really picky and you are a person that doesn't like, you're really picky and you're not comfortable, in the session. Then this you have to express, right? So this is part of your character. That's different here in the base. Okay, so in the base you need to so these factors can get out. Okay, so this is what's important here. Anyways, this is just small details that do make a difference. And I will go in the different kinds of therapies that exist today. Mainly, there are behavior therapies and other kinds. These therapies, what group them up is that, just as a nice introduction. Okay, so we won't go into different kinds of details. Okay, because you need to understand that these details are highly important, and they are very very they're really important, and they're very, you know uh, essential for these different therapies. Okay, one is basically a nice conversation. Okay, two is expressing thought. Okay, so basically it's a nice conversation and expressing thought, expressing your emotion. It may be hard, it may be easy. Okay, the point basically of the therapy is not to put you under pressure. It's opposite. That's what I'm going to get into. Okay, it's just for you to answer the question, and that's it. Okay, so this is really important so that you can get a concise kind of, you know feedback on that. Okay, does that make sense? So for example, when you express and you take it easily, is different than if you take it hard. This is in general. Even if you know this is these are really important, essential part of therapy. Okay, so this is really important, right? Many people obviously in research and everything done, that this kind of in talking, right, conversation mode, this is what groups these different therapies. In the conversation mode, even if you are the person in the research was distressed or has a certain kind of diagnosis or opposite, it is very important. Okay, it's very important to express, take it easily when you express, have a kind of, it's actually one of the purposes for different therapies. If it doesn't work out, if people have diagnoses of different things in extreme cases, or opposite, obviously, and in the sense of, in the opposite, this person, in this opposite sense of, this person doesn't have diagnosis. Let's say, for example, in the business world, the company is having issue in the HR, and in the session, it's a group session, and in the session, there's an issue with some people that they are not used to conversation mode, in the sense of maybe they're more technological oriented, or more oriented towards different things, and then having like a group conversation, in the sense of, for different reasons. Okay, or through the conversation. This is not wrong. Okay, by the way, it's not wrong. Okay, you can have different options, but this is an essential part of therapy is talking. Okay, it's conversation. Some people they like to um um and some people they like to write more, right? Some people they like to use technology. Some people they think about in the world in a different way. You have to know that therapy um you have to know that therapy focuses on oriented around people. Not all cultures are like that, and not all people are like that, right? So today I know social communication, everything else, it is oriented around people. But it's technology. It's a mixture of technology. So it comes out of technology. Is that correct? Okay. As psychologists and it's different things, it's common sense that these things come out, right? Okay. So if a culture values, like we do value in the world, technology and socialization together, okay, it comes out like Facebook and social communication, different things, right? It didn't exist before. So the same thing here. So in the business world, it may not be uh, very essential maybe for them, a value or moral, or it may not be very um it may not be uh, something that they do always, basically. Okay. So this is what's important. Okay, that's what's important. This is a really valuable part of um, of the life of a therapist, basically, and people the therapist deals with, and also in therapy research and everything you can imagine. Okay, because talking, communication, okay, and just usual, if usually people, you know yourself, if you have a culture, it's not like you have to talk the whole time, right? Or you're shy, or no, it's just that you don't have an issue with. Okay, and it's not at all a diagnosis. This is really important. There's a huge difference between diagnosis and characteristics, and that's also another, that's it can be under category of that, or it can be another category of of what we call culture and therapy. Okay, so one of them is that maybe your culture is not social oriented. This is very important. It doesn't mean that you have a diagnosis or anything. On the contrary, it's very, very nice. Okay, it's a different kind of world. That's great. Some therapists they like that, and researchers, so they want to focus on that. If they focus on that, then they would see a different world, right? There are different factors. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is different. Obviously, yeah, this is really important actually in the therapy world. Okay, so this is an essence of the therapy world. It's the communication. Okay, you talk. Now, besides communication, there are also different things with talking in therapy, and one of them is the language, right? Okay, that may be a factor, maybe not. Sometimes it's actually opposite. Sometimes you may be from a different culture, a very different culture, and you see that it's amazing, right? Sometimes no. And this also there's a lot of research on. Sometimes you have the therapist comes from your culture and doesn't work at all. Okay, so um, it doesn't work out at all. You feel like it's actually opposite, right? And you don't want that. Okay, so you don't want a kind of you're okay, and you became very, very distressed, basically, and it's not a joke. Okay, so this is true, and sometimes it's the other way around, right? So really, this therapist does not understand me. I'm not from his or her culture. Okay, and the same thing here. Okay, so sometimes it may be the therapist kind of distressed, right? Now the therapist does the work as much as it may be the therapist can refer for you to another therapist. Okay, right, but that's different, okay, in that sense. That's number one. And it's a different world. They have a different, but for you in an introduction world, in the sense of that, and that is common. A lot of researchers about that, and that's usual. And the same thing with the same culture. I'm just talking about the essence, which is a dialogue conversation. So what we began with is the factor of comfort. Okay, comfort is very important. Yeah, comfort is very important, because comfort is one of the things that makes everything really, really, smooth and nice. It's very important. It's like, for example, think about it as you would go to a nice restaurant. Okay, and then obviously you have like a family meeting, and it's been like years, and you meet your family or whatever. It can be family, siblings, or it can be parents or grandparents, or I don't know, children and husband and wife. Okay, yeah, it can be years, or it can be days, or you're in the same house, but you guys met, you guys are having lunch, so in the restaurant. So obviously you want a nice restaurant. You don't want to think about that it's expensive, or it's really cheap and low, and or it's crowded, or it's I don't know, it's great and luxurious, but the service is really bad, or the food is bad. You want to think about the meeting itself. Okay, so this is the same thing, right? So you don't want other factors to disturb your you don't want other factors um, to disturb your basically your therapy, or this is for induction therapy, or any other thing you have. Okay, any other session, right? We said this only, but to disturb whatever objective you want, basically. Okay, whatever objective you want, you don't want it to disturb you. Okay, this is really important, because if it disturbs you, then everything will go away, and you won't have your objectives. So one of the things in essence of therapy is objectives, right? You as a person, I know it's really hard, obviously, if you're detrimented, or you have a distress kind of trauma or whatever, that's different, right? But if you're, you want to get the most out of it, then objectives. Okay, you need to write your objectives, and you need to make sure that every session you go, you completed your objectives. It can be that you have other objectives that are important, but guess what, I want my original ones. Where are my original ones? I remember I wanted that. That's normal. It's not wrong to have that. Okay, this is really important, because one of the main things that's important in therapy is the are the your objectives. Okay, as much as a therapist, maybe it's because of the the therapy itself, or whatever, or other factors too. In the end, the therapist is a human being, and doesn't mean that you're over him or over her. This is it, right? But this is important. It's a kind of factor you keep in mind basically the whole time in the experience. Okay, which is important. Your objectives, which is nice, and the therapist would love it. Would love it, because he or she in the end is doing their work, and in the end wants you to get the most out of it. Okay, and would love that you're all organized and you have your objectives from the beginning. Okay, because if you don't and it's a sign, actually it's an excellent sign of the success in their perspective of the therapy session. Okay, does that make sense? Because and it makes them more comfortable in the sense of you're organized. That's great. So we're kind of moving forward here. Okay, so this is important. These are different factors that you'll find in different kinds of therapies. Okay, obviously the therapies have different names and different components and different structures. However, this is an essence there. You as a person to get the most out of it. Okay, so always remember to be organized. I don't want to make it long. I want to make it nice and short. And we'll remember the main points is comfort. You're comfortable. Okay. you are very, very accommodated to the setting, or um, you are prepared for it in the sense of you get the most out of it. Okay, but you don't want to just that to distress you. If you feel um, distressed from it, or you have stress, um, then no. Okay. So if you feel that you have stress from the issue, then don't. Okay, if you feel that it's a very stressful, if you're in a trauma and everything, that's different. Okay, but this is just an essence. Okay, that you have to think about. Comfort. You have the different things like is the person, are there factors that making it hard? You need to put all of these in mind. And lastly, obviously, is the essence of the therapy, which is the communication and dialogue. Okay, mind, but also that there are different factors of culture and everything else that you'll find in essence very, very important. Okay. Um, so in that sense, you need to have all of these in mind. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, please tell me. I think this is a nice kind of comfortable, nice open-ended kind of introduction, which is important because therapies are complicated. They're not just the structure that you find in a theory, or in a in a theory, or in a kind of in a kind of book or textbook. Okay, no, it is complicated. And if you're a student, if you're a person that wants to have a session, in general, whatever session you want, or whatever you have in mind. Okay, so as I said, I made this session it's pretty practical and nice and comfortable, because this is how you should be. You should be you. That's the final point. Whatever you are, okay, whatever you are, you should be you, whatever you are in the session, and that's really how you have a successful session. Okay, and that is actually for sure, it is the essence of therapy, the different kinds of therapies. Okay, and all details and names and everything are different, and it's important for you to know. Obviously, hopefully, I will get to that. I want to look at my other topics on my YouTube channel on the digital platform, but this is an important part. Have a great day and hope to see you soon if you're interested to have sessions with me on MantraCare app or in private. See you.